Okay, back for another book chat, and today I decided to do something that isn't my usual genre, Princess Paisley. This book is kind of interesting because I never intended to publish this. This girl is a friend of mine's daughter, and this was the picture taken on her 10th birthday. Their family has a big party on their 10th birthdays, and she wanted kind of a medieval theme. She does play the harp, so that's her harp. And so she had a friend of mine, actually it was author Kathy Swanson made this dress for her. And it has this beautiful paisley stripe, and we were talking and I was impatiently waiting for NaNoWriMo, and I thought, I know what I'll do. You know, I'll just go crazy for the month of October, because I can't start, you're not allowed to start your project until November 1st at midnight, you know. And so I think I'll just go crazy. And she was like, no. How about instead you write a short story about a Paisley princess? And I was like, okay, I can do a short story. That'll keep me busy for, you know, a couple weeks of the month. Well, my short story ended up being about 70,000 words. Yeah, and it was pure silliness. I didn't know where the story was going to go. I had no clue. This took the whole idea of pantsing it, which is kind of writer speak for flying by the seat of your pants. And instead of pantsing this book, I was kind of like drag pantsed it, because it just dragged me by the seat. It went wherever it wanted to go. And for a while there, I really was concerned there'd be no plot. But there turned out to actually have a plot. And it was, and like I said, it is utter silliness. But one of the interesting things about this book is that I put a lot of their family's dynamics in there. For example, Princess Paisley is, she lives in the land of jackalope. My friend is from Wyoming, the land of the mythical jackalope. And so I made her from jackalope, and her husband really likes frogs, so she calls her kids the prairie frogs. And so I put in the frogs with another country in this story, Froglandria, which is, I mean, utter silliness, right? But they have the green frog pox, and I mean, I went to town, I just had a lot of fun with it. And part of what I did with it is, I had kind of an omniscient narrator moments here and there, and it's very satirical. In this book, the narrator is kind of making fun of the idea of fairy tales. I've actually marked a couple of spots. Basically, this guy comes riding up on his horse and scatters her sheep, and now she has to go straighten them out and everything, and it's just kind of a big mess. And she's upset. It says, they thought the horse's flying hooves were signals for run like crazy, and so they did. Sheep can be very obliging creatures. And she says, oh, now look what you've done. And the man's like, are you addressing me? Anyway, she says, I'd like to address you back to from where you've come. Where would that be? I'd like to make sure you're not misdirected. And then I said, now, if one were looking very closely, one might have seen a smirk from around the corners of the man's mouth. Do you like how I wrote that? I did it because that's how fairy tales are worded. I thought you might need that information because the one thing will probably come up again. And I don't want you to think I'm being pretentious. It's just the genre, and I fear there's nothing I can do to prevent it. Yeah. So later, there's this line that says, now for all Rupert's great qualities, he did have the misfortune to be born with drawers of silver spoons awaiting his pleasure. Such a favored life tends to make one a little, well, expectant that it will always be thus. And thus is another one of those fairy tale words. Just treat it like one and you'll find it flows quite nicely in the scheme of the story. I mean, it's just utterly ridiculous. And there's even some places where I choose one word and then I strike it out. The strikeout is in here. And, you know, It's lots of fun. So there's lots of little bits of their family in here that only they would probably recognize, but I did it anyway. And I made the inside look like a fairy tale. So it's got the pretty little pages, and you know, the back looks like whatever. This is an unusual book because I don't actually have my name on the front or the back cover. You don't generally do that, but fairy tale books don't usually have those. You don't usually have mail by. And so I wanted it to look like one. And so I broke all the rules about making sure that you are on your book. And I just went, hey, forget it. And so here I did. And I got it done. And I wasn't planning on publishing it. I was just going to make copies for her family. But some of the other people that had been reading along as I was writing were like, oh, I want one. And someone else was like, oh, my mom wants to, you know, order one. So it ended up on Amazon anyway. I hadn't intended to do that. Well, then it bothered me, and because this is utterly a ridiculously silly book, and it's not. It has a very strange following. People tend to either love it or be like, who cares? But the people who really love it, And so I decided, you know, I want to write a good fairy tale, you know. And so here I was. I wasn't even planning on doing this book. And I ended up saying, no, I have to do another one. I have to do another fairy tale. I have to do a good fairy tale. This is a fun one. But I wanted to do a good one. You know, one with the adventure and the romance, but my version, because, you know, I'm not really big on the whole romance thing. And so I came up with Everard. And this is the second book in the Not So Fairy Tales story. And when I started this one, I was like, you know, this one had a lot of elements from one family. I want to do it from another. So I have a friend in Georgia, and their family is unique in similar ways to this family, in the sense of the fact that they are so unique. Their uniquenesses are very different, but and so then I think I'll make them kind of the thing. And so their street name is one of the places in the book, and I'm trying to remember, it seems to me like one of the horses is named after the town, and whatnot. Well, on this one, I even had my amazing illustrator, Craig Morrell, do a map, because maps are awesome. And so the print version has this amazing map in it. My contract with him doesn't allow them for the Kindle version, so only the people who buy paperbacks get it. But it's pretty awesome. It has the Ironian Mountains, the Trip Mountains, the Heath of Havilah, the Great Capella Desert, Costolisa Bay, Wycliffe, Hidden Hollow, and Innervasha, which is really funny because above it he has written meh. And hidden way deep inside these things, if you look super closely, you will find tiny little well, maybe it's not in this one. I'm pretty sure that in this one too you'll find tiny little bits of Doctor Who elements. I thought it was in this one too, but it might not be. It might just be in the Wynwood maps. But anywho, and in this one, instead of the satirical making fun of fairy tales, I actually made fun of storytellers. And so, like for example, once upon a time, a long, long time ago, right? Because that's how fairy tales should start. In a land impossibly far away, soldiers fought the last battle of an extremely long war. Some say the war had lasted for 1,000 years, but I am of the opinion that the stories are a bit exaggerated. Probably poetic license designed to impress an audience. Storytellers always like to make things sound so much more interesting than simple facts ever could. I wouldn't be surprised at all to discover that the war had only lasted 700 or 800 years. And so, you know, just silly little things there. And then there was another one down here. So the king's right-hand man is watching Everard after he gets home, and he's kind of concerned about him. And you know, a couple other people are like, "Ah, he'll be all right." But then when he's not, this woman who is, you know, she's a servant, but she's a very beloved servant, and she says, as days passed and his daily walks to favorite places in Havilah did not pull him into his usual quiet, but good humor, she became concerned. I'll let you in on a secret. Became concerned is storyteller speak for freaked out on the king, demanding that he do something about her beloved boy. The fact is, it doesn't seem quite right to read a fairy tale and say the words freaked out. This is just a side note to emphasize that M was not as calm and collected as she sounds. So, you know, this book has that same kind of silly feel or whatever. And again, on the cover, there is no name. It's only on the spine. Because, again, I really wanted it to feel like that. And in this one, I didn't do the borders because it was about a guy and that just seemed kind of weird. And so instead, Craig made these cute little inserts for images, which was really nice. He just took them out of the map and let me put them in. And then, so the chapter breaks. I don't know if you can see because I have no clue what is going on. There's these little swords to make it fun and whatever. And, oh, the chapter images, there's a sword beside it and all that good stuff. So this is Everard. So these Not So Fairy Tales, again, it was only supposed to be one and it became two. And now the family from the first book has adopted from the Congo. And so while I was writing the second book, that war was with a kingdom called Congolia. And I did it because I wanted to write that story because they adopted and they were in the process of adopting this baby girl they called Kivrin, and out of the blue, the woman in charge of the city just ripped the baby from them. They don't know where that baby went, and so in the meantime, they had been approached to adopt another little girl as well, and I don't remember why they couldn't do both, but there was a reason. And they wanted to, but there was a reason they couldn't. And so, you know, grieving for that little baby that they had already, you know, begun to love, they immediately said, yes, we'll take this other little girl. And so, in this first book, she's not in there. And it really bothers me that she's not a part of that story. So I decided I was going to write her story. So we're going to have one about the princess of Congolia. I don't know what the title is. I keep coming up with different ones, and I'm not real happy with any of them. And then I have another one about a girl from Verdania, not Verbania, like my friend's book. This is, you know, green Verdania. Her name is Lieslyn, and only one person in the whole world seems to think that she's beautiful. And so it's all her story, and I'm really excited to write that one. But Ashley doesn't let me do that very often. So if you want Ashley to let me write any more of these, you're going to have to leave a comment so that I can drag her over here and go, see. And if not, then maybe I need to accept the fact that fairy tales aren't my genre. But they're a whole lot of fun, especially when I get to get all satirical. So anyway, that's this week's Princess Paisley and Everard. And I said them backwards. You know, I had this one picked up first, but the same spell. Paisley, Everard. And I think the next one actually will be Lieslyn, except that I'm pretty sure Tiffany, the daughter they adopted, I think her 10th birthday is coming up. And so that might be a good excuse to be able to write her story. So hers may end up being next. And if I'm correct about that, if it's coming up this year or next, one of these two, then Ashley may just have to deal with it. I didn't say that. You have a great day.